Hey guys, my name's Andrew, you're watching Toxic Gaming, and in today's video, we're going to be doing the top 5 meta decks in the December 2020 format for Pioneer. So, in this video, instead of doing a tier list like I normally do every month, I'm going to be doing just a top 5 list of the best decks that are going to be in the Pioneer format. The reason for this is because there's a lot of decks I want to go over, and there just isn't enough time. I've been moving, and it's getting close to the end of the month by the time this goes up, and I really want to make sure I can get this at least somewhat as early as possible so you guys have the best idea of what's going on in the meta for Pioneer. So with that said, I just want to say one more thing before we get into the video. Thank you guys so much for watching the videos while I've been gone. I really do appreciate it. I know there's not a lot of you out there that are watching my videos, but the ones that do, and especially the ones that have been going to manatraders.com to help me out by using my my link TLG33 to save money on your subscription, that's been really helping me a lot, more than you can imagine. So I just want to say thank you before I get into the video. And so yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it. Number 5, which is going to be Burn. I mean, Burn's just very straightforward. Burn is Burn, you know. There's not really a whole lot to talk about it because it's just the same old list that we've always seen. Just get your Soulscar Mage, you got your Light Up the Stage, you know, your Boros Charms, you know, your normal Boros Burn deck. The reason why it does so well is because it's very consistent. It's good against the field in general, and it's probably the best one you want to use when it goes against what we're going to be talking about later in the video, which is the top of the meta. Especially when we're in a meta where it's very ramp focused. You want a deck that can go as fast as possible and go under it if you're going to. Combo decks don't really work right now under this. So right now, what you really want to be doing is either going faster than them, or you want to basically try to go over the top of the ramp decks. So with that said, that's why I have a mono red Burn, or sorry, Boros Burn, as the number 5 on my list. So coming in at number 4 is a deck that I really underestimated the last time we talked about this deck, but that's going to be Oops All Spells. So for those who don't know, Oops All Spells is a deck that has no lands in it. And the idea is you're going to play your Balshir Spy, and you're going to be revealing your entire deck. And knowing that there's no lands in your deck, you're going to put all of your cards into your graveyard. And then once you put them on your graveyard, you have stuff like Creeping Chill that will trigger the second it goes into your graveyard. You have Narcomoebas that go into your graveyard that's going to enter the battlefield. Then you're going to have stuff like Prized Amalgams that are going to enter the battlefield. And from all the damage that they're going to be dealing from the Creeping Chills, which I think is 3 apiece, which is ridiculous amount of damage and a lot of life gain. On top of that, you're going to be able to put so much power on the board. You can just swing in one turn and just win the game. It's really, really powerful deck. It's the best combo deck by far. And I think the reason why it does so well is not only because it's a creature-based combo deck, but also it's a non-blue. You know, it's non-blue creature combo. Really, all you need is one of the. There's another black creature. I think it's called Citywide Enforcer. That basically does the same thing. So you basically have 8 ways of getting to your combo, and because they're creatures and they're not blue, so they get around Mystical Dispute. You have this combo that's really hard to answer. That's why I have Oops All Spells as my number 4 on my list. Alright, so going in at number 3, we have Mono Green Planeswalkers, or Mono Green Devotion. So this is a Nykthos deck that plays a lot of green-based devotion cards. So they have a bunch of planeswalkers. Like, for example, they have a Vivian, which has 3 green mana symbols. You have a bunch of other cards that kind of fulfill that that role of trying to put as much devotion on the battlefield. And what you want to do is you want to get a Karn, and then with the Karn you want to wish for a kind of like into your kind of like toolbox kind of a side deck, and you want to get something like an Ulamog and just win the game with a with a giant creature, and you want to get hate cards. So if you're playing against a combo, like a spell-based combo deck, you want to get a dampening sphere. If you're going against burn, you can get the ship. I can't remember what it's called. Or you can get a bunch of other hate cards that are specifically good silver bullets for whatever you're playing against. And with this kind of deck, I really like it because it not only is really good against the top 2 decks, which we're going to be talking about soon, but it also is good against the field, because when you have such a closed meta, as you're gonna notice, especially after playing a couple games, you're gonna notice that with a smaller pool of decks, the toolbox style decks get better, because instead of having to make a dedicated sideboard that answers as much generic stuff as possible, you can put a bunch of silver bullets for different scenarios and different situations that really hit the top decks hard. And having Karn be able to do that, and also having Vivian be able to do that, it's just invaluable. It is very, very good, and honestly, it's really consistent. I mean, yes, you did lose Walking Ballista, a while back, but it didn't really stop the deck too much, and it didn't really need it. Yes, you can dump a bunch of mana into Walking Ballista, but it really was there to hurt the Mono White Devotion deck, which I'm glad that thing's gone. So, anyways, that's going to be my number 3 spot on the list, being Mono Green Devotion. Coming in at number 2, obviously, you know which 2 I'm talking about, but it's been kind of hard to decide which of these 2 I like the most. And I think the second one that I'm going to pick as my number 2 spot is going to be the Wilderness Reclamation decks. Now, there's 2 versions of this. There's the Teamer version, which is the more traditional, kind of like what Standard was playing kind of version, where you're trying to do Expansion Explosion, just draw a bunch of cards, deal a bunch of damage, and win the game. Or you can play the Sultai version, which is kind of a newer one. It's more of the modern-esque one, where you are trying to cast a big shark with Shark Typhoon, and you want to just play this defensive kind of, grindy, like spell speed, instant speed kind of, control-y kind of ramp deck. It's a very odd deck, but the main thing is the mana doubling. As we talked about plenty of times on the channel, that when you mana double, you just break the game. Just look at Fires of Invention is a perfect example. When you double up on mana, you completely break a fundamental part of the game. And when you have something like Wilderness Reclamation that not only untaps all of your lands at the end of your turn, but then on the following turn, on your turn, you can float a bunch of mana, and then untap, and then float a bunch of mana again, and then just use that for this ungodly amount of mana to sink into like a shark or a expansion explosion, and just win the game off of that. And then you draw so many cards, I mean, you basically won at that point. And it's honestly just an amazing deck. Now, the reason why it's not number 1, and we'll get to that in just a moment, it's because the deck is really reliant on Wilderness Reclamation. If you don't have Wilderness Reclamation, which is not hard to get to for the deck, if you don't have it, it doesn't play nearly as well. So you really are having to rely on it. You do have to mulligan a little bit more than usual. Not as much as some decks, but definitely going to hinder it just a little bit. But with that said, that's why it is number 2 on the list. And of course, we are here at number 1. And if you can't already guess, you already know what number 1 is, and that is going to be 4-Color Omnath. Now, 4-Color Omnath is a deck that not only exists here in Pioneer, but also exists in Modern, and is probably the best archetype that we've had in Magic in general. Destroying Standard, and requiring a ban, and then now completely destroying Pioneer and Modern. Eventually Wizards are going to have to ban Omnath, but as of right now, we are under the tyranny of Omnath. This, in my opinion, is the best deck, not only because Omnath, I believe, is just an incredibly, ridiculously broken card, but also, I think it's the best Uro deck. Even though Uro isn't necessary in the deck, I think that it is the best way of using Uro, being able to ramp on on turn 2 after a growth spiral, and then being able to then after that go into to an Omnath and then play a bunch of lands, and then from there just spiral out of control with this ungodly amount of value, and then go into an ultimatum, or escape the wilds, or just these incredibly powerful cards that just just blow the ceiling off of what normally a normal deck can be able to do. And I think that honestly it's going to stay at number 1 just slightly, because until Omnath gets banned, I just don't see this deck not being number 1. Now there are some arguments as to Wilderness Reclamation kind of being close, and I do respect the people that do think that way, but as of right now, I think 4-color Omnath is going to be the best deck in any format that it's legal in, up to Modern. So with that said, yeah, short and sweet, not too long, and that's going to be my video for today. So thank you so much for watching the video. I do really appreciate it. Please like, comment, and subscribe to let me know if you like this setup. I'm kind of liking standing up and kind of making a video like this. So if you do like this, definitely let me know in the comments down below. So thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye. Today's sponsor is going to be ManaTraders.com, the best way to rent cards online. ManaTraders.com is the service that I use and is pretty much the only way I'm able to play Magic online at all. What ManaTraders has allowed me and others to do is to rent all these cards that we need to stay up with the metas without breaking the bank. And the way we do that is through different subscription plans. So, for example, if you spend $9.99 a month, what you can do is you can rent up to $100 worth of cards in ticks for Magic Online whenever you want. What's really exciting about it is that if a card gets banned, which lately it's been happening a lot, what you can do is you can return the deck, find a new deck to play, and then rent that one. And what's also really cool is every month ManaTraders has a $15,000 tournament that they host for all of their subscribers, which is really exciting because not only do you have leagues that you can use the decks for, but you also have this huge prize pool in this really amazing tournament that you can also use your skills and hone your skills and test yourself to see how high that you can get and maybe even win that grand prize. So yeah, it's a service that I use all the time, and I'm really excited to share it with everybody. So yeah, definitely check out ManaTraders.com, and remember to use TLG33. That's TLG33, which is my code, to get 20% off of whatever subscription level you get. Not only does that save you money, but it helps out the channel immensely. So thank you so much for watching the video, and yeah, thank you to ManaTraders.com.